Welcome to SnapTech IT's monthly webinar for January 2026. My name is Ted Holsey. I'm Chief Revenue Officer at SnapTech IT and your co-host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This webinar will be recorded and circulated to all registrants. You can always visit us on our YouTube channel for all of our content on demand. Today's topic is AI Prompting Strategies 2.0. And I'm joined by SnapTech co-founder and president, Sean Brown. Sean, welcome. Thanks for joining me on today's webinar.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a few minutes late. Had a little technical difficulty getting a login to work, but we're here, we're ready to go. And so I'm excited to be here with you. It's been a little bit.
It's been a while, so thanks for being back. All right, so we're gonna be talking about AI today, AI prompting. I'll give a quick overview of the agenda in a moment. One thing we do like to do on these webinars is just spend a minute letting folks know who we are. If you maybe are new to us, SnapTech IT, we are a cybersecurity first managed IT provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and San Francisco, California. When new clients come to us, they often are struggling with chaos in their IT environment, maybe slow support from their incumbent provider, or maybe they're losing sleep because they don't think they have the right cybersecurity protections that they should have in place. And we look to solve all of those problems for our clients because we believe that technology should solve problems, not create them. And when we bring on a new client, what we do is we put in place our proven process. And that means our clients will have a technology plan, a predictable IT budget, a roadmap, and our best practices put in place so that their employees can be productive on the job, highly secure in how they work, and that leadership can have the peace of mind that somebody has their back and is looking out for them. And we work with clients in two different ways. If you're a smaller company and you don't have anybody in your IT department, you are often looking to a company like SnapTech to look after your entire IT environment. We call that fully managed IT. If you're a larger organization and you have an IT department or an IT director, but you're maybe growing fast or there's too many projects on the back burner or things just aren't synchronized and going well, we can come alongside you and help you, and we call that co-managed IT. So those are the two different ways we serve clients. And to get started, we always begin our journey with any prospective client by either looking at doing a IT discovery and cybersecurity risk assessment, where we try to help you understand how to raise the bar on your operations and your cyber posture, or potentially we can help you with AI and automation. If you're, feel like you're maybe falling behind or you need to accelerate as an organization, look to us in either of these two departments to help you keep technology going at the pace you want it to do with your business. Okay, let's look at the agenda. Okay, so today is going to be demo focused. Sean is going to take the reins first and is going to explore best practices around prompting with AI. We're a couple years in here. It's definitely a journey. Every business professional, in our opinion, should be leaning in a lot on AI and exploring how to make themselves more productive, how to make your department more productive, how to make your organization more productive. But there's a lot to take in, and we hope that webinars like this help you jumpstart your knowledge and help you keep up. And so what we're trying to do today is take some of the wisdom and best practices that we've developed by working with a lot of clients and leveraging this technology in our own business, and share some of those secrets with you and some of those best practices. So Sean is going to explore a couple different topics, but just to run through these real quick, prompting, AI, it's not about replacing Google. It's really about having an expert guide at your side, all the time, that's helping you write things better, create content, have better decisions in how you work. And Sean's going to unpack that for you, and he's going to show you a lot of the tricks of the trade. There's often, we joke around a lot internally. Sean is one of the bleeding edge users of AI at SnapTech, and so he was an early adopter and uses it all the time. So he's going to show you some of the tricks on how he has AI interview him, how he uses AI to create prompts for different platforms. He's also going to just show you some tips and tricks around being super productive with this technology on the go, like even using voice commands on your mobile device and that sort of thing. So those are the things Sean's going to cover. And then I'm going to round us out, and he's going to hand the ball back to me, and I'm going to look at, how to use AI to help you improve your business decisions and your judgment. Not necessarily to write your emails for you, but to like help you be that trusted guide. Also look at how to leverage context better in your prompting, and we'll unpack all these topics, and then we'll touch on custom GPTs and agents to round things out. So with that, Sean, are you ready to go?
Well, I'm a little rusty, so we'll see how this goes when I'm navigating GoToWebinar. But yeah, let's dive in, and
okay.
Hopefully we've said a little prayer to the demo gods, because
yes.
you know how demos work. So
okay, well, right. I've made you the presenter, so go ahead and share your screen, and we'll get into it.
All right, let me see here. Like I said, give me a second to. I'm trying to see what's. Sorry, my GoTo is still popping up. Let me grab my screen here. Can you see my screen yet?
Yes. So we are looking at your ChatGPT browser window.
Okay, fantastic. I figured out how to make that happen. All right. So the first thing that I want to kind of talk about and kind of get into is how we can kind of personalize ChatGPT, and then I'll show you how you kind of look at doing it inside Copilot, because it works just a little bit different. But one of the first things that I want to do to help us get better kind of prompting and responses from ChatGPT, a lot of people, some people have already kind of configured this. Some people don't even know that this is there. But I'm going to come down here to my name down here on this bottom left, and then I'm going to go to the personalization section here inside of ChatGPT. There's a lot of really kind of interesting things that we can do inside ChatGPT to get it to know us better and to get better responses from it. And so one of the first things that you'll notice if I look here at this base style and tone is I'm currently just set up on the default. However, you can kind of customize this to kind of meet your needs and personality. We can make this more professional or friendly or kind of quirky, nerdy. So there's lots of different just kind of base style and tone that you can set. There's also some like characteristics that you can set. You can it to be, I'm on default, but you can make this more friendly or less professional if you want, enthusiastic, headers and lists. Like for me, I turn off, like if you get annoyed by ChatGPT and some of its little emojis that it always puts in.
Come on, Sean, that's one of the best parts. Come on.
I personally have it set to just turn some of that off. So I just want to see less of those emojis inside my response. So the other component are these custom instructions. And so one of the things that I like to do, I'm going to come back to this custom instruction here in just a second. But one of the things that we can do is kind of talk about like having it kind of help you create this kind of custom instruction. So you could do things like this, and we'll just do this as a demo. I won't force you guys to watch me try to type all this out, but hey, knowing what you know about me, write a custom instructions that I can add to the personalization section of ChatGPT. When I fire this off, what this is going to do is it's going to actually help me write my own customization section that I can easily just kind of copy and paste in there, so it knows more about me and can provide me better responses from the prompting that I'm doing. So if you haven't done this, this is a great way to kind of tell ChatGPT a little bit more about you and can kind of customize it. So this is a couple of things that it kind of, lays out and kind of knows about me. I run a couple of companies. We're big into EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System. If you're not familiar with this, I believe we even have some webinars in our resources section about the Entrepreneur Operating System. Huge fan of that. It knows how I like to think and kind of operate, things that I regularly work on, how I like responses and things that I don't like. And so the idea and the concept here is you can have it generate this information for you. And then you can see, if I go back into our personalization section, where I have already done this, and this has been set up for a while, but surprisingly, it gave me a pretty similar response to what it just gave me. But you can see that you can kind of paste in here, and I believe you have, I think it's like 1,500 characters or so that you can add in kind of custom instructions to tell it more about you and the role that you serve inside your organization and things. You can also tell it other things about your name, your occupation, more about me if you don't already know it, golf, family time, and I'm competitive and I like to win. And so it's surprising that those are a couple of things that it pops up. I won't dive into my deepest, darkest secrets, but you can go into the memory section here as well. A lot of people don't know that this is there, and click on memory. And then this just kind of shows you a bunch of the stuff that it just kind of knows about you and is already kind of saved. So that's a little bit about personalization as we start thinking about kind of prompting to make sure that we get the best results from that. Another great thing that I like to kind of think about is, I'll just kind of copy this too, that I think is pretty interesting. And this is not necessarily a prompt that a lot of people have used. It's interview me and help me create kind of this master prompt that I can use in ChatGPT so I can get the best results. So this is just another kind of tactic. So if you're new to ChatGPT and it doesn't know a whole lot about you, ask it to interview you. I think this is something that I don't know if a lot of people have used in ChatGPT or any of these kind of AI tools, but asking it to interview you so that it can help you build this kind of memory or this kind of data about you that it can then use to help you. So have it interview you and have it ask you all kinds of different questions about your philosophy and what you like and what you don't like. And then you can use that information, again, if you're kind of new and it doesn't already know a lot about you, to help you build that kind of master prompt that we can move into the personalization section. Now, so that's the ChatGPT side of things. The other one that I'm going to kind of pull up here is, I'm a big fan of Microsoft Copilot too. And so I use Copilot a lot. If I'm working inside, Outlook or Word, I just had it help me last week build a PowerPoint presentation off of a Word document and a bunch of notes and stuff that I had. One of the things, I'll tell you straight, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And some of the things about Copilot right now is it doesn't quite have the same level of memory that like ChatGPT has about me. And so you have to kind of help Copilot along. And so let me show you how we're going to do that. So what I want it to do is I'm going to go back over here. And the prompt that I'm going to use now is, hey, since Microsoft Copilot doesn't have the same like memory features that ChatGPT has, write this for Copilot so that I can copy and paste it in to get better results from Copilot. And so this thing does a great job of, this is maybe another kind of prompting tip that you can use one AI solution to help you create prompts for another AI solution. And I happen to be using Copilot or ChatGPT to help me with Copilot. But it then creates a master prompt that I can easily go through here whenever it finishes kind of creating this about things. So here's kind of some pushback. Here's my EOS stuff. AI and automation bias. It's funny what it knows about you. How I like things responded to, right? And so hopefully you're having fun with AI as well. So here's how to effectively use this. So what I'm going to do is, just as an example, you can come in here and kind of grab this about Microsoft Copilot. We'll jump over here and I'll just paste this whole thing in. All right, I'm making sure I'm doing a quick response instead of a deep thinking one. That might take a while. So for demo purposes, we'll just do a quick response. And so now I'm able to kind of put this into Copilot right before I start interacting with Copilot. So as I do prompting inside Copilot, it knows more about me and will then be able to use that information in the responses that I get. So pretty interesting, cool way. And then you could just save this, save it as a Word doc, save it someplace, and make it so that you can easily just kind of copy and paste it if you're trying to get some just specific detailed responses out of Copilot. I would not be surprised if you don't see more memory features being added into Copilot here shortly, but still a little bit of a limitation. Okay, so the other, as we kind of talk about prompting, this is another thing that I think I see people, this is not really a demoing thing, but this is just more of a something to be aware of. You can like turn off your niceness or your politeness whenever we're interacting with these AI tools. So there's no reason to say, can you please do something for me? Or if you don't mind, to get better results, from these tools, be more kind of prescriptive, more direct in your prompt. Act as, or evaluate, or design, or just be more detailed and more prescriptive. And you don't have to use please and thank you and some of those things. ChatGPT will actually respond better to you if you're more authoritative with it and not like being polite and nice to it. So that's just another little tidbit for you. Now, the next part that I'm going to go over is I'm going to give you what I call like the core prompt formula. And so again, just so you don't have to watch me try to talk and type at the same time, I'm just going to paste this in here. This is the formula that you can use inside ChatGPT to get really great results. And so here's the prompt. This is the prompt formula. I'll go ahead and just enter this, and then I'm going to hit go here. You can kind of see the prompt, but basically the first part is you're telling it how to act and what kind of role you want it to act as. Next, you want to tell it the goal or the outcome that you're looking for. Then you want to give it some context. And then if there's any kind of constraints or rules or things that you want it to kind of play by, you tell it. And then the last thing that I like the best is ask clarifying questions. So asking clarifying questions if needed before answering, so that it kind of, before it gives you an answer, will kind of clarify and ask some specific questions. So we enter this in here. You can see ChatGPT's response saying, hey, exactly the right abstract kind of formula. Here's what we're after, right? The core prompt. Tell it what you want it to be. So you want it to be a seasoned executive coach, or an EOS implementer, or a business strategist, or a marketing professional, or name whatever kind of specific professional you want this agent or this kind of interaction to be. Is the first step. Outcome. Hey, I'm trying to make better decisions, or I'm trying to drive revenue growth or leadership effectiveness. Tell it the outcome that you're after, and then any kind of context. So this is just some examples. Hey, I run my business on EOS, or clear values, structured thinking, whatever the context is that you want. And I'll show you an example here in just a second. And then any kind of constraints or rules that you want this to follow. So you want clear communication, or you want structured outputs. So I want headings, bullets. So you can give it those kinds of prompts and it will give you the result that you're after. So telling it things like, hey, give me this, but I want you to give it to me in a bulleted list, or I want you to give me this information in a table. as just kind of an example. And then if there's any kind of clarifying questions, it'll ask you kind of clarifying questions as we kind of go. So here's an example of one that I'll just kind of copy and paste in here that honestly, ChatGPT helped me write this one. But here's our example. So, hey, you're acting as a senior customer success manager. Your goal is to write a calm, confident email explaining a project delay while preserving trust. Here's the context. Here are the constraints. Professional but human. We want no buzzwords. We want it under 200. And then, hey, ask me any kind of clarifying questions before writing this. So that's an example of a great prompt that follows this kind of core prompt kind of mentality. This one says, hey, I've got enough context. No clarifying questions needed, blah, blah, blah. And you can see how it uses some of the information or uses that information above to help us write an email as just kind of an example. Now, this one is also kind of interesting, and this is one that I like. I'm going to copy and paste this. So one of the things that I don't really have a demo of this, but maybe just a little bit of a quick conversation around, it's better to just kind of iterate versus starting over. And so if it didn't quite get this right, it's better to say, hey, make this email shorter than to go back and trying to make it rewrite the entire email and to re-prompt it all over again, because it'll remember and understand what it is that you've already talked about above. But just being able to kind of iterate on it versus starting over is a great way to kind of think about prompting. Now, the other one that I like to do is sometimes we go back and forth with ChatGPT a bunch of times to get to the answer or get to the result that we're actually looking for. And so another prompt that I really like to use is this one, which is, hey, based on everything that we've been working on, give me the prompt I should have used to get to this result faster. So this one is great. This is one that I use a lot, especially whenever I've gone back and forth with ChatGPT a number of times, and I'm trying to get, hey, how could I have just done this quicker? So I'm asking it, hey, give me the prompt that I should have used. And so you can see it now coaching me and helping me better understand how to do prompting. And so that's my killer prompt for you, is just ask it how to do prompting better, or how to provide a better prompt in order to get to the result quicker. Now, the other one, this one's not necessarily a prompting per se, but if you haven't used this little dictation button inside ChatGPT, it's pretty awesome as well. Or if you haven't used the voice. And so I thought I would use dictation. And so we'll turn on dictation and say, hey, ChatGPT, we're live in the middle of a webinar talking about AI prompting. And so can you give us like the top 5 best prompts that I can share with this audience in this webinar? And you can see it does a pretty good job of just recording and my dictation, and then I can just kick this out. And we'll see what ChatGPT thinks are its 5 best prompts that we can use. So hopefully this will also be of help and benefit for you. So prompt number 1, think like an executive prompt. When you don't have time to iterate, write this. Okay, so these are okay. So that's another example. And then I'll throw a curveball. I'm going to break out my cell phone, and if you haven't downloaded and put the ChatGPT app on your cell phone, I don't know if that really can show it well, this is one of the best things like ever for me, because not only can you do dictation with this, but I can click the little button here. We're just going to start talking to ChatGPT right over my cell phone. So what I want to do is I'm in the middle of a live webinar about AI prompting. Do you have any advice for the audience on the best way to do prompting in ChatGPT? And like most demos, I get an unavailable. So we didn't pray hard enough to the demo gods on ChatGPT. But that's classic. Anyway, I wasn't planning on doing that one anyway, but I think the concept is the same. If you haven't worked with the voice prompting inside of your cell phone, highly encourage you to do that as well. So, and I think I hit all of the things from the agenda that that we had that kind of laid out, and so. Ted, any questions or comments on
Yeah,
any
well,
of
yeah,
that stuff?
so I would like to first I want to invite our audience a great opportunity to ask questions. So just use the Q&A feature in GoToWebinar. But Sean, talk to us about kind of the before and after, or how, let's just say like over the past 12 months, how has your use of AI tools changed, and you know
Yeah.
at what point did you realize, wow, I got to get better at prompting, and what kind of investments did you make, or in time, or I mean the whole like personalization thing, I think, is something that a lot of people don't know about, and it takes
Yeah.
a little bit of time, and you can really offload a lot of the work to ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini to actually ask you all the burning questions. But talk to us about your own personal experience and how your use of AI tools has evolved.
Yeah. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not using Copilot or ChatGPT for some aspect. So from a Copilot standpoint, I tend to write a good bit of email, and I will write that email, and then I'll have Copilot help me auto kind of rewrite it, if you will, um, just to make it try to sound better or lay out better or get my point across more. So I use it extensively inside Outlook and helping me write emails. Last week, I had kind of a presentation that we were doing internally around some different topics. And so that was another great example where either I or someone in the organization were going to have to take my notes, that I'd kind of laid out in a Word document, and then go build it into a PowerPoint kind of presentation. So that was a great example of me doing the upfront work inside of Word and then having it take it into PowerPoint. And it really did a pretty good job. Now, a couple of the images, I mean, you were in that presentation, a couple of the images got a little, kind of weird, but.
Yeah, I poked fun at one of the images. So,
I mean, hey, I can't help it. Some of the documents were upside down or some things like that. But for the most part, it did a great job of helping with that. Now, from a chat GPT side, I use this pretty extensively, not only to help me brainstorm, help me come up with creative ideas. I'm helping, if you looked at some of my chats and history, some of them are around different kinds of things like, team accountability. Like we use this is a good example. We use Culture Index inside of our organization. Think of it as just like a personality type tool, and everybody is different, and everybody likes to be communicated with differently. And so I have gone through Culture Index training, and so I know a good bit about it. However, a lot of times I'm not perfect with it. I'm not an expert. I would say, I know a little bit. However, I've been able to load the Culture Index profile for the people I work with. And as I am communicating or as I'm working on different kind of topics with them about. I used that to help me craft the best way to communicate to that person, as an example, because everybody likes to be communicated differently. So that's a real world example of something that I use ChatGPT a good bit for now, as kind of as another example. Yeah.
Okay, and then we've had a couple questions come in. Thanks everybody, keep them coming. John just asks pros and cons of different tools, Perplexity versus Copilot versus Gemini for business. Also thoughts on tools like Lovable for application building. Any thoughts on kind of your preferred solutions?
Yeah, I haven't used Perplexity that much. I haven't really used Lovable. I hear so many cool things about it. That's just not like something that I go in, and I'm not trying to build things kind of like that. So I haven't had an opportunity to go use a tool like that. I know about, I've seen, and I've heard other people kind of talk about it. That one looks like pretty awesome for like application and site building stuff. I like ChatGPT for a number of different reasons. Some of the pros, the configuration and the personalization I showed you, some of the memory components to ChatGPT I think are really good. If I'm just brainstorming and working on different ideas and I need it to know more about me, that's where I dive in there. So that's the pro side over there. Now, I use Copilot a lot when I'm talking specific information about like SnapTech specifically, because it has access to all of our emails. We record all of our meetings in Teams and have transcription on it. And so the ability inside of Copilot to flip to this work mode versus web mode, and I wish they would have made these maybe a little bit bigger, because I don't think a lot of people really understood the difference that was kind of happening between web and work. And just real quick, the web acts more like ChatGPT, because, you know, if you're not familiar, this is really ChatGPT on the back end of Copilot. And so this is running ChatGPT 5.2. So the web works very much like Copilot. I mean, it works very much like ChatGPT. When you flip over to the work side, now this understands all of our documents, all of our emails, all of our meetings that we've had. And so if I have work specific stuff that I need it to kind of help me with, that's where I go to a Copilot instance. So I think there are pros and cons to kind of both. I wish Copilot had a little bit more of the memory feature, but I also like the fact that I could just take documents and put them into my OneDrive or into my SharePoint, and it would know some of that same information about me.
Yeah, and I'll jump in with a couple thoughts on this question too. I think sometimes people are kind of like looking for like the silver bullet, and like, hey, I just want to have like one tool. We're finding that that's not in practice. If you're really leaning in on this stuff, it's not really how this plays out. You end up having 2 or 3 tools you use all the time, because there's different tools that are better at different things. And, like another, I just want to double down on this. We use Teams internally. We use Microsoft 365 internally. We use Teams for virtually all of our video conferencing meetings, and almost all of our meetings are now recorded. And because every meeting is recorded, there's a transcript, and because there's a transcript, Copilot can do a awesome summary. So inside SnapTech, like just using that, every employee using that as like a basic capability of having all my meetings are recorded. I have a transcript. I can go back. I can send around meeting minutes because I can produce them in 10 seconds with Copilot AI summaries. That sort of stuff becomes just like completely changes how the organization behaves and how it works. Same goes for using Copilot to find stuff inside. One of the biggest challenges that everybody has is, did I get that via email, or did somebody send it to me via chat in Teams? And Copilot is your Sherpa in wading through the chaos of the work world, right? So and then what I would also say is, like I've been playing around with Gemini a lot, not only because we have a marketing job to do to like share with our audience our experience with these tools, but just to keep up on the different tools from an R&D perspective. And so we've produced a couple different webinars on Google Gemini and where that fits. Gemini's kind of a no-brainer if your organization happens to be using Google Workspace as your standard file collaboration, email, calendar platform.
Mm-hmm.
And Google is Google, right? Google's an 800-pound gorilla, and they're not going to let Microsoft or OpenAI or anybody else steal this market, and they're coming after it hard. And so Gemini is advancing greatly, and so those are a couple thoughts. And there are some things that Gemini does better than ChatGPT or Copilot or Claude or whatever, like image creation. Kind of Google's kind of the king of the heap. I would say kind of like the flexibility of like the different types of AI prompting you can do with Gemini is getting pretty impressive. And then vibe coding and using AI tools to do coding is like a whole other webinar, I would say, in general. And Sean and I are sales, marketing, leadership type folks, so we're not doing a lot of vibe coding ourselves, but we have other colleagues in the business who are doing that and are playing around with these tools in that way. So hopefully those were some helpful thoughts on kind of the overall ecosystem. But maybe let's do this. There's some more questions have come in, and we'll get back to them. But let's do this. I'm going to take control back and make myself the presenter. Let's see here. Make me the presenter. Okay, great. And then I'm going to show my screen. And Sean, you can see my screen okay?
I can. You're all good. I see your PowerPoint.
Okay, great. I'm going to move this down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, I want to start out over here. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to, I have a couple different prompting topics, and so I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction. So, Sean really focused on kind of personalizing your voice, right? One of the biggest frustrations that I think everybody has had with AI, from the beginning is like, yeah, this doesn't sound like me, or this, you're asking, it's not saving me any time if I need to prompt and reprompt because the thing gets my voice wrong. And so Sean really showed you how to take these tools and personalize them and tailor them to your voice so that when you do create content, whether it's an email or a memo or a report, that it comes out in a voice that feels like your own. The thing I want to kind of maybe mostly focus on is giving more, that's a form of context, right? So you're personalizing the experience. And so what the output is aligned with how you really sound or want to sound. The other thing is that one of the challenges with AI is that it effectively, if you don't put guardrails on your prompt, it incorporates the knowledge of the world in what it can potentially give you back as an answer. And that's often not what you want. You often want a response to a prompt that is around a narrow set of documents. And that's what I kind of want to focus on. Is I'm going to show three things. I'm going to show, instead of using an AI tool to create content, use it as like your judge or your sidekick that can give you advice. And so let me just show you a very basic example here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in Gemini, and I'm going to what I want to show is, day to day as a business leader, you maybe aren't necessarily a content machine, but you are having to make decisions. And you have to be able to like analyze things. And sometimes you don't have the time to, pore over the documents or pore over the budgets. And you want like a quick, hey, sanity check this for me. And so think about AI less as something that's going to create emails for you and create memos for you and that sort of thing, but more take things that maybe a colleague created or somebody sent something and you want to get some judgment around it. So I just want to do a, why did that, okay, that captured a image. That's not what I wanted. let me grab, so I'm just going to copy and paste a prompt. And on this one, I'm going to type it, I'm going to plop this in and so I'm just going to read the prompt here. I'm a business leader volunteer in charge of logistics for a gathering of company founders and VCs, and we're hosting a demo night event in the East Bay in California. And I was tasked with upscaling the food and beverage experience, analyze my game plan and budget in the 2 linked documents below, and let me know if I missed any opportunities to make it better. So this is an example. I didn't use AI to create my planning memo. I've been doing event marketing for 20 years in my career. My budget is very basic. I don't have a huge budget for this event. It's like an all volunteer effort. And it's basically a startup club I'm a member of. But the other guys and gals on the committee are like, hey, with the money we have, are we doing the best possible thing we can? And so let me just show you like a very basic example here where I'm going to go in and grab my event plan and grab my budget and put it up here, and it's going to quickly ingest those 2 documents, and then I'm going to ask it to analyze my game plan. So here it's less about creating content. It's more about having like an analyst sidekick that can come in and give me expert advice. And so and it's a lot of times we have blind spots. Sean has a nice expression, you can't see your own backswing, right? So sometimes you create a piece of content and you need a sidekick to kind of give you some fresh perspectives. And so I'm not going to read through all of this, but the thing it immediately points out is I'm already over budget. Whoops. Okay, but not by a ton, but it gives me some interesting perspectives on how to upscale the event, how to make it a little fancier, how to make sure we don't forget about vegetarian food options and vegan food options and all this sort of things. And it just gives me like a sanity check on my game plan. And so I find myself doing this a lot with AI, where it's less about creating content from whole cloth, like just from scratch, but actually taking the work I've already produced and giving me a point of view. So that's what I mean by AI, AI prompting to help you with your business judgment. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to share. The second thing I wanted to share is, one of the really challenging things with AI is sometimes you do a prompt and it's way too broad, and you're boiling the ocean, and that's often not what you want. And so what I want to show you is a feature that you may or may not know about, but there's a feature so here I'm in Copilot, and Sean, you can see this okay, right? So I'm in Copilot, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay, so one of the use cases for prompting that you want to think about is it's very common that you have like a limited set of documents that you want to interact with the AI tool on. And because it's very constrained, you just want the answers from that set of documents. And so in Copilot, there's a feature called notebooks. And what a notebook allows you to do is you take specific documents that you want to analyze and interact with. And so in this particular case, I find I do this all the time. I go to a trade show or I go to a peer group meeting, and I come back with meeting minutes or meeting notes that I've taken. I come back with presentations that were delivered. I come back with interesting documents that were shared during the meeting. And I come back, and one of the things you want to do as a leader is like, hey, summarize the key takeaways from this event. And historically, that was something like everybody would procrastinate about. Oh, I didn't get to it, and I sent it out a month later, and it's not as timely. AI should help us be super quick on something like this. And so what you can do is in Copilot, there's something called a notebook. And so you can build a notebook. And with this particular notebook, I've loaded up. What I did is I recorded. There were 3 or 4 guest speakers at this peer group meeting I was at. And I recorded the sessions, and then I used a transcription tool to create a transcript of the talks. And then I got copies of their slides, and I loaded them all up in this one notebook. And now that I have this one notebook, I can then do a chat interaction with this notebook, and it's going to give me a constrained set of feedback just on this one meeting. So share the key learnings from this event. And what you'll see is that now the Copilot chat agent is going to only analyze the documents that are in the notebook, and it is only going to constrain its analysis, and it's not going to hallucinate. It's not going to bring in outside thinking. It's going to give me actual, references of which documents these things came from, and it gives me this nice executive summary that I can then, copy and paste and put into a memo and use, and you can go shorter, longer, drill in deeper, but this is kind of the power of notebooks. And what you find is these capabilities also exist in Google Gemini. So it's called a gem, it's basically a gem in Google Gemini. And then over in ChatGPT, it's called a project. So they're all the same concept, which is you take a constrained set of documents and the content you want to create or the answers you want to get is just narrowed down to that narrow set of documents. So that's constraining for better analysis.
So wait a minute, all those recaps you've been sending me are all AI generated?
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, quite a bit. So, and just to show like a different just use case of this. So I'll go over to this gem here. So one of the things is I have a son. He's a 10th grader, and he's in AP World History, and this is a really challenging class. And so I help him with that. And one of the things we've gotten in the habit of doing is we scan every chapter of the book, and we throw it into AI, and we produce quizzes and fill in the blank quizzes, multiple choice quizzes, short essay quizzes. And here I've got like a gem that has all the first 11 chapters of the book he's read, and we can go in here and just say, create a fill in the blank quiz on chapter 7, for example. And the reason this is a really good example of constraining AI so that it doesn't hallucinate and bring in bad information. The problem is when I originally started to use AI to try to do this sort of task to help my son, is there's 7 editions of this textbook, and the AI would get confused. And then at some point between edition 3 and edition 4 of the book, they completely reorganized the book and put different topics and different chapters. And every time the AI would get the edition wrong. And so I would ask about chapter 7, and it would give me content from, chapter 7 from the edition 3, which is a completely different topic. So this is just a really nice example of where constraining the context you're providing it make sure that you get a better output. And so here again, it's using the actual chapter 7 from the edition of the book we're having, and in a New York Minute here, it creates a nice little quiz that then we can interact and use. So, but there's lots and lots of different use cases of this, in the business world, where you only want it analyzing the documents that you have given it. So, last topic I wanted to share. So, just like Sean was showing how personalizing the AI tool to capture your voice, you want to do the same thing from a branding perspective for your company. And so you want to inject the personality. And so one of the things you can build in ChatGPT or in Copilot or in Gemini is you can build custom GPTs, they're called in the ChatGPT world, or agents. And an agent, what you do, again, it's constraining the context, it's constraining the personality. And so what we've done, this is like a demo of a real life tool that Nathan Caldwell, our marketing manager, uses every day. And it's called our Blogging Booster. And so this is a custom GPT that has been programmed with all of the blogs we've produced before. It's ingested all of the content from the SnapTech website. And it's been given specific rules on what the output we want to get back when we prompt something in the Blogging Booster. And for any of you on the call who've been responsible for doing blogging in your organization, you know that like one of the things when you post a blog, you don't just throw it on the blog. You have to add meta tags and a summary and a snippet. And there's all these little pieces of content you need to append to the blog content so that when you actually post the blog to your website or blog, that it's actually SEO friendly and actually gets found by the Google search engines and that sort of thing. And so we've programmed in all of that knowledge, all of that brand voice into this blogging booster, and given it these rules that say anytime we give it a blogging task, we want not only the blog content, we also want these other content snippets. And this is like a game changer for our marketing manager in terms of just his productivity. So let me just show you. And then what we do is, again, you want the AI tool to help you write, help you produce content faster, but you still want it to do with your own voice. And so what Nathan does is Nathan interviews experts on different topics inside our business. And he spends 15 minutes interviewing that expert, and they just kind of do a brain dump. And he records it, and then he turns it into a transcript, and then he uses that as the meat or the grist for the mill to produce the actual blog. So let me just show you how we kind of done that. He just did this a couple days ago. So he interviewed me for 15 minutes. We came up with a topic, and I'm just going to paste this prompt, into the blogging booster. So write a 700-word blog, use the following transcript, and you'll see that this is a long, transcript of a 10-minute conversation. And you put it in here, and then it's going to spit back out a blog article, and it's pre-programmed to give us a response that is, on our voice, and gives us all those little snippets we need to actually post this blog. And so you'll see it's kind of spitting this out. And again, this is a way, back to the theme of prompting, which is you basically create a structured way that you interact with the AI tool so that you get the consistent output and results that you want. And so here it's providing the WordPress Elementor publishing package. And so we get all of these extra little tidbits that Nathan needs to properly publish this blog. So that was a lot. Hopefully didn't go through that too quick, but those were the three things I wanted to share. Sean, any comments on anything we just showed?
No, I think that's great. The only other thing that some people may be asking is, hey, how do I create a custom GPT? Well, I would say there's two ways, right? One, we can help you if that's something you're interested in. But the other thing is, you should have hopefully learned during this webinar, you could go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT how to do this from we stay on the prompting, ChatGPT, hey, I'm interested in creating my own custom GPT that is going to do blogging. Provide me step-by-step instructions on how I might be able to do this, as an example.
Yeah, so let's do this. We've got a couple minutes. For questions. So one thing is, I just want to, if to Sean's point, if you want help on your AI journey, if you want to talk about which platforms you should be using, security and data governance questions, or you want to get into like, hey, how do we start building our own agents in our own business? You can set up a meeting with us, and we'll bring in an AI expert to have a conversation with you about that. The other thing is we also host several webinars a month, and next month we're going to be focused on Claude from Anthropic in next month's webinar. So if you're interested in that, so 2 different QR codes to tackle. But let's look at a couple questions here because we do have 5 minutes. So let's see here. So I'm just going to try to cherry pick. So Rohan says, is using AI hampering critical thinking skills? What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
I think it enhances critical thinking skills. So I like to use it to have it question me and challenge me on my thinking. And so I wouldn't necessarily just go in and say, hey, tell me what I need to do. It's more, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and this is a great example of where I use the voice prompt. Well, I'll sit there and have a conversation with it. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is the question that I'm working on, and so I'll get deep and specific into it that way. And I want it, and as part of my prompting, I either have it ask me questions that I may have not thought about, or I'll have it ask me and challenge me on my thinking, to, like, I may have not have thought of something. I want a different perspective. And so I think it's actually helped me enhance my critical thinking.
Yeah,
So,
and I would say the other thing is that I think everybody has this fear that AI tools are just going to make us all sound the same. And I think what we tried to convey in this webinar is that these tools are infinitely customizable to your own voice, your own personality, your own point of view. They're not a replacement for you. They're something to turbocharge you as a leader or a department head or a contributor. And that's whether you're sending an email and using ChatGPT to help you crank it out, or you're a marketing manager and you're trying to create a blog post. I think the thing that people forget is that hopefully what we try to convey in today's webinar is that the art of prompting is tailoring this to your own content, your own point of views. The blog that was created on, with the blogging booster is only as quality as that original interview where Nathan spent 15 minutes with an expert who's got 20 years of experience in this field and was able to kind of craft, at least, give a brain dump of the 10 reasons, you might have a bad relationship with your IT provider. Like, we've been at this business a long time and we shared our own expertise. And the writing of the blog is just that final little step in the process. You have to feed these AI tools your own unique perspective and knowledge and wisdom. And we're not getting rid of that. So AI doesn't get rid of that. So yeah, we're all concerned that our children in school are going to use these tools as shortcuts, and it's a struggle I work every day with my son on. Because you do need to develop raw skills and critical thinking skills apart from technology. You need to understand why a math formula works rather than just relying on a HP calculator. But at the end of the day, we're all going to live in this world where this tech is all around. So we do need to embrace it.
Ted, if I could chime in just from backstage, this is Nathan here, everyone. And Ted, thank you for showing what I do with it and making me look just like a brilliant member of the team. So thank you so much. Just an additional comment on that, I think it actually unlocks more people's capabilities because it lowers the barrier for entry. A lot of people are nervous about getting out there and writing a blog. A lot of people have what they call head trash or imposter syndrome and feel like, oh, I don't have enough to say or to share. But we all have unique experiences. We all have a unique perspective on how we are doing our jobs day to day. And man, we often, like so many leaders say, we hire the best and the brightest. Okay, believe in the leaders who have hired you. You are the best and the brightest, and use AI to help you see you for you, to see the beautiful person that you are and the wonderful thoughts that you have in your mind. Help it, allow AI to organize it for you, allow AI to polish it a bit for you and show it back to you so that you say, oh, I do have something to share. But then again, take the next step to tweak it into your voice. And so I think it unlocks people's ability to get out there and do. And I would encourage all of you to get out there and do.
And hopefully that's a shot in the arm for everybody. We're believers. We're believers. Your competition is going to be out using this technology to do more, to outmaneuver you. We all got to, every day find ways to be more productive and more relevant to our clients and our audiences, or whatever field we operate in. And so wisely use the tech. And that's hopefully what we tried to do today, is show you some of the ways to kind of up level yourself in how you use this technology. But we're out of time. So Sean, thank you for joining me on today's webinar. We hope to see everybody on next month's session. And if you want some one-on-one time with any of our experts, please reach out to us and let us know how we can spend some time with you. So with that, this concludes the January webinar, and thanks a lot, everybody. Take care.
See ya.
Bye now.